recording.
Cool.
So we'll go ahead and that should sync everything up in audio later on. But dude, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Took us a little while to get this thing set up,
It's
huh?
all right. Yeah.
We'll get it done. Gonna get it figured out. Man, first place to start, everybody. All right, so welcome back to the podcast. This is Drew here, your host, and today I have in the hot seat Jonah Prill. This is one of my first interviews for the cast. So the cast, I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet. And we're just gonna go ahead and start with this. So Jonah is actually kind of a pretty big TikTok star. He just started getting, You're doing good.
I'm going.
He just started getting some pretty good traction. He's been doing this for a couple years now, and he's one of the local celebrities that I could find, and we just so happen to be friends, so I was able to get him in the chair, and we can go ahead and ask him some questions and everything. Like I said before in my other podcast, the whole goal of this is just to try to help more people find success in what they want to do, and I think the best way to do that is to just have case studies and figure out how other people have figured out what they wanted to do and how they became successful at it. So that's the whole goal of this today. We're going to start wherever Jonah feels cool to start, but we'll go back to the beginning, work our way through how he figured out what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it, and where he got his traction to figure out he could do it. So, all right, man, that's pretty much it. But who are you? I guess maybe give your own own introduction to everything and maybe what you're doing right now, and then we'll go back.
Yeah. Well, my name is Jonah Prill. Born and raised in Montana, 24 years old, from Billings. That's pretty much the easiest intro that I know of. I don't know where else to start.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I mean, I know I'm a fairly interesting person, but like as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a normal dude.
Dude, it's all good. It's all good. So you are in TikTok right now, which is a pretty popping off platform. It's pretty busy, but you weren't always in TikTok. Is there really a time when you decided that you wanted to kind of play in this social media world and start becoming an influencer, or what do you think?
I think what was that? I'm hesitant to call myself an influencer.
Okay.
Because I just truly feel I'm just doing my own thing, and of course, like now I'm pushing my music and I'm pushing my narrative and what I want to do with my life.
Right.
And I don't necessarily consider that influencing because, I could, hey, Yeti sponsorship, that I take that more as influencing.
Yeah. Okay.
Versus pushing out my story.
Right.
But it really started with Instagram and taking my own photos and just being really into the photography and the camera aspect of that. And then it just kind of started spiraling out of control.
Okay.
People reposting my stuff, and then the whole TikTok thing, I had a friend blow up on that, and I was like, the heck is this app? And I wasn't even on the app when a friend suggested that, hey, you should start making videos on this thing. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Made 2 videos. First one popped off like crazy, and I was like, oh, I understand now.
Yeah.
And that's when I started really going.
That's where you could really start building an audience and everything.
Yeah.
Because my little brother, I think, saw you a while back. I remember hearing about you while he was at college in Bozeman.
Okay, yeah.
And did you go to college in Bozeman?
Did for 1 semester.
Yeah, for semester. Yeah, you and him are exact same. So we just went for 1 semester. Yeah. But we were both playing around with videography and things like that. And I think we saw a YouTube video that you did, and you're like walking up by a waterfall.
Yep.
And I think what got me excited about that was you were shooting on the same platform as me, which is a GH5. Yep. And that's what we're shooting this interview with, or this podcast with today. So that's a pretty cool thing, because there's just not a whole lot of GH5 people that I've found in the state of Montana. It's all unique. Canon and Sony for the most part. So that was one thing a long time ago I remember seeing. I was just trying to find other influencers, and that's not influencers, but other content creators.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you could call it influencing. But
yeah, content creators I think is probably a better way to go about that. But from that, I was like trying to find a sphere and see who was out there and working, trying to do YouTube or whatever. Yeah. And Quinn brought you up to me a while back. So I kind of saw that a long time ago.
Your brother's Quinn.
Yeah. Quinn Gerber.
I just now put that together. I know that? Quinn, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
That's hilarious, yeah.
Yeah, you probably met him at a few parties. Sorry, Quinn. Throw you under the bus like that, but yeah.
The first time, if we can get it into the quick sidetrack, the first time I met him was I can't remember what the event was, but he did something with gasoline and fire. It didn't go well. And like I showed up and like everyone was freaking out and I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And
You
they
were
like,
there?
"Shh, everyone, no, be quiet." Yeah, I was there. I had just showed up right after it happened and I had no clue what was going on.
Really?
But anyways, that's how I met Quinn.
Dude, that is wild. So
Really?
yeah, so he got life flighted to Denver.
No.
And he spent 2 months in Denver in a burn unit.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
for
did not know that.
Yeah, so that was it was a promposal thing, and is what he was
what it was.
doing, and it was something like liar, liar, pants on fire. Wild. It's his story. I gotta let him tell
Yeah,
that
you're right.
at some point
Yeah.
when he wants to get on this podcast, because him and I, like I said, we had that
Yeah.
videography company for a while, and we are kind of doing media and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Dude, that's funny. A lot of people know him from that, and like a lot of people have said like Quinn Gerber, oh, and then they would be like, is this the same kid that did exactly what you explained?
Mm.
And be like, yeah, that's him, dude. Yeah. I guess it was a
Damn.
pretty big deal. I don't know if there was like Snapchats on it or what, but I don't know
I-
how it became a bigger deal.
Yeah.
But anyways, so
Yeah,
man.
that is interesting. That is very cool.
it's this content creation thing. It's a different lifestyle.
It really is.
And it's especially different for people in Montana.
Mhm.
Okay, because up here you have the hardy cowboys that are always, put your nose to the grindstone.
Mhm.
You don't need to show it off. Blah blah blah. They're just the salt of the earth people.
Yep.
So when you're doing it as a job, trying to figure out how to build up your following and everything,
Mhm.
what is in your mind as you're pursuing this? Because or is it really just like, truly, you're just like, man, what am I gonna do if I'm not doing college? I just want to kind of hear your mindset for pursuing this, I guess.
I mean, prior to music, it was just kind of like an accessory to. It was more of a hobby, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a hobby that I loved dearly because I found it interesting and intriguing.
Yep.
And there's a lot of psychology that goes behind it.
Yep.
And marketing psychology, and that was. I did business marketing, and I went into engineering a little bit, and I just kind of had that general like business mindset.
Okay.
And then I took that to social media and just combined the content and marketing strategies. And that's when I got into, okay, how can I combine like what I love to do and show people like how awesome Montana is and just experience fishing or hunting, hiking, all that stuff.
Yep.
But also make it really, really cool and like grab someone's attention.
Right.
How can I grab someone's attention? And it is a competitive market as a content creator.
Yeah.
Because you can't just whip out your phone willy-nilly and, oh, look what I'm doing. You have to like actually engage someone and give a reason why they should watch your stuff versus just scrolling on or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Well, and you kind of first started in Instagram.
Totally. Yeah.
Because I was seeing some of your photography and everything. And I always thought that was interesting the other day when we were talking about this, was you first started with just taking like scenery pictures.
Yep.
And then you realized, well, I should put myself in this. I mean, you're not a bad looking dude, so why not?
Yeah.
So, then you kind of decided, okay, how can I make a personality out of this?
Yeah. Well, it was just literally just showing like, how can I place myself in this and like, not necessarily like build a brand. Like I'm building a brand now, but at the time, that's not at all what was going through my head. At the time, it was, I want to show my mom, a picture of me in this nice scenery.
Yeah.
I put my camera up in a tree and set the timer.
Yeah. And
before I had a tripod and everything like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But after that, it really did start. The snowball started rolling.
Sure. Because you've been doing this for how long? At least, I mean, granted, everybody's had an Instagram probably since they were like 15.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when have you been pursuing putting out quality content on Instagram?
Pretty early on.
Really?
I mean, like I remember as a kid taking like my parents' camera and like, taking way up into the Beartooth Mountains and like enjoying taking those pictures. But then as soon as I started posting on Instagram, I was like, I kind of want higher quality photos.
Yeah.
And seeing other photographers really high quality photos, I was like,
yeah,
how do they do that?
Yeah.
I want to know how to do that. And I just researched more into cameras and kind of got a little camera nerdy and really dove into that. And that's when it started to, that's when I started to pursue the whole, I want to get better at this. I want to get better at content creation and start doing this more full time, essentially. Because I did put a lot of time into going outdoors, spending more weekends instead of hanging out with my buddies. I'm going to go up to our place in Big Timber, go hike around and take pictures. Yeah. And then you have to edit and then you have to post. There's a lot of time in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And you already kind of had an affinity for the outdoors, right? I mean,
always. I mean, I grew up in it.
Yeah.
We've had our our place in Big Timber. I mean, my dad grew up in Big Timber, so
Yeah.
that he just kind of instilled that outdoor lifestyle into us kids.
Okay.
And that's we were just running around the woods. I had an Xbox at one point in time.
Yeah.
We didn't have cable TV.
Yeah.
No, like hardly any video games. So we were just outside all the time.
Really?
Which, looking back, I love that so much.
Yeah.
In the moment, I was like, I want to watch SpongeBob. Like, I want to play Xbox.
Yep.
And I'm so glad my parents, they didn't keep that from me, but they
Yeah.
just let us do other things.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate for that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a huge part. And obviously plays into who you are as a person on your social
Absolutely.
media too, because you're willing to go out there and get those kinds of shots. And
Mhm.
like we see you hunting and doing that kind of stuff. And we see you doing all kinds of different things, fishing and all of that. And I am always kind of leery of people that are on social media. And I think a lot of people are like this because they wonder if they're just doing it because they want to have that kind of clout, or they want to have that kind of, they want to portray that they're
Right.
actually like that.
Right.
But when I first started talking to you about this, I kind of found out just through casual conversation that was actually a huge part of your life before the social media
Mhm.
was hunting. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool that you even hunt solo, which is a pretty crazy thing. And I talked about that in my other podcast too. It's just like, man, it's a little spooky. And I grew up in a hunting family too. Dad had an outfitting company, and but I never really hunted alone a lot.
Mhm.
And you do that pretty frequently. So
I mean, this season alone,
Yeah.
I was hunting with someone else only 2 days out of the entire season.
yeah,
And I was out there pretty much almost every day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've kind of taken that as my job too. I really want to get into hunting and conservation and make that more of an appropriated thing to talk about,
yeah,
because hunting is kind of seen in a bad light.
Yep.
There's a lot of bad examples of people doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And that gets more attention than people taking care of the land. And
Yeah.
respecting the wildlife.
Yep.
Which I also find very interesting. I love animals so much.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love the bears, the way elk talk to each other.
Yeah.
I didn't know so much about elk until I started bow hunting.
Yeah.
They speak to each other.
yeah,
There's a whole hierarchy of the herd, and then wolves, there's a hierarchy of those herds.
yeah.
I'm not like Stephen Ornella.
Yeah.
In the sense that I'm very well educated on it, but I'm very well in tune with
Yeah.
the animals, just being
Yeah.
out there so much, which I love it so much.
Yeah. No, that to me spoke authenticity wise. It let me know, like, okay, he has something that he can be grounded in. Because Zach and I were talking about this, and in life, it seems like everybody kind of needs to know that they are good at least one thing.
Right. Yeah.
And that way they can go, okay, they can always look back on that one thing and say, I did this alone on my own to my own terms, and I got it done. Like I was successful at this.
Yep.
That way people can always use that to fuel whatever other endeavors they're going to do. So it's, especially in content creation and things like that, where everything's so subjective, you're always just trying to chase another trend or another thing like that. It's, where do you find that stability and that internal confidence, I guess, to know, okay, look, I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know if this trend is actually, I'm doing it for the trend, or if this is something that lines up with what I like to do, or if I just completely hoard myself out to
Yeah.
society in a way. So I really respect that. I thought that was really cool because, yeah, it's tough to look at guys' Instagrams, and yours is one of them. But I understand now where you're coming from. But it's always tough to go, like, you just see abs and like biceps and like, yeah, you're looking good and all that stuff. But it's like, what is this guy like as a real person? And that was one of the coolest thing was when I actually got to meet you after I'd gone through your Instagram, like everybody goes through your Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It was like, oh, there's a pretty authentic and enjoyable person here. And it's not a stretch to be around you. I can see a lot of people in other areas have a tough time being around certain type of celebrities. And in your case, you're an easy guy to get along with, fun to hang out with. Yeah, no problem.
I mean, you too, yeah.
Well, right, but I just in Montana we see a lot of celebrities all the time coming here. Granted, you were born here and you know you're going to start out here, but the people that are coming in, oftentimes you find out they're just not as nice as what they were maybe portrayed to be on TV or whatever.
And of course, like I always give people the benefit of the doubt, because what if you just run into them on a bad day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Totally.
It's hard to judge people on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as judging, the thing with social media that I definitely wanted to, and I still need to, it's my biggest, not concern, but my biggest goal is to come across more like myself
Yep.
on social media.
Yeah.
Because when I take pictures and I make videos, to me, it's almost like I'm kind of creating art.
Yep.
Like when I take a picture and I put it into Lightroom, like that's a piece of art to me. Because I'm messing with colors and I think it's really cool. And then when you post that and just that on social media, people don't get the whole picture and they can have any subjective view on you that they want. They can make up, oh, he's a super great guy, or oh, he's an asshole. Like, it can go either way.
A douche.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is so difficult to like make that come across through content that you make. It's just very hard. I don't know how to put it into words, but it's just difficult.
Well, and I can totally see that because a couple things that people need to realize as well is it might look good, but it's also the person behind it and what they have to do to achieve that in the first place. You're in the gym all the time. It sounds like that's like, if that's not your first job, it's close to your second.
Close to my second.
Because
it's a passion of mine too.
Right. And you are already in the gym looking good. So why not leverage that?
Exactly.
Why not utilize any of those kinds of things? So I think that going into those kinds of discussions in these podcasts, it helps a lot of people go, oh, look, this guy's just another dude.
Yeah.
I guess we could name this Humanizing Jonah Prill. I don't know. But
I am just another dude, but at the same time, I understand that sex sells.
Yeah.
I understand that. And like,
if you know algorithms,
I work hard. Like, nutrition alone, of course I want to show off my abs.
Yep.
Because I work my ass off for that. Dude. I want to show it off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right now, I can be completely honest. I do not have the discipline to get into a gym and work out every day. It takes a lot, and
it's more discipline than anything.
You are an athlete. You are working through that stuff, and on top of that, in order to be in good enough shape to be hunting alone all the time,
that's why I do it.
Man, you've got to be in good shape for that, and it just makes you feel good. It helps helps so much with mental clarity. A lot of people will first see what you portray online and go, he just does it for the clicks, but there is so much more to taking care of yourself. Now, granted, you get into Botox and all that stuff and surgeries and everything. That's a little tougher to justify in some cases, but burn victims aside. Sorry, Quinn. Anyways, moving along. Just an ADD thought there, but yeah, I think that truly it's when it's used in a way to be able to make yourself healthier. I think that's so fantastic. I think we need to have more of that in our society today. Is really push like, look, it's good to be healthy. It's good to be have discipline. Get in the gym, work out, feel that physical strain. Because when I don't have it, I know I go into a deep depression. It sucks if you're not mentally capable, but it's even worse if you're not physically capable.
Yep.
Because that's something that you can do without thinking. You can just go and work.
Yep.
And just getting that done. That's a big part of this podcast, is figuring out the mindset you need to have to be successful in what you do. And a lot of that has to do with being physically capable, not just mentally capable.
Yep.
So anyways, man, I got to give kudos to you, because today you were lifting.
I was.
Yeah. You had like a crazy 2.5
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was only crazy like that. Today was kind of a weird day. I was trying to get on incline bench and some dude was already on it. And he's like, oh, you want to work in with me? I was like, yeah, sure. And turns out he's this like bodybuilder guy, and we just hit it off and we went crazy.
Really?
He kicked my ass.
Dude.
And it was great though. Like I felt very accomplished, and like listening to your previous episode, like talking about like how good you feel and like seasonal depression.
Yep.
Like I get that too.
Yep.
If I don't have vitamin D or if I'm not in the sun, I get kind of down.
Yeah.
But that feeling of, wow, I really pushed my body to the edge today.
Yeah.
And a little bit past.
Yeah.
When you can do that, it's a big pat on the back moment. It feels really good. I felt really good afterwards. And I know I made a lot of progress, and I'm happy for myself.
Yeah. What is your typical workout schedule? What are you doing right now?
It's right now is a little different, but like my typical is 5 to 6 days a week. All usually in the summer. I'm either doing a ruck early in the morning, mountain biking. That I really enjoy mountain biking. But then I'll hit the gym and it's weights. I'll do push pull legs as hard as I can. Sometimes I'll back it off. You really got to see how your body feels. If you're really struggling and you're like, it's just not one of those days. Take the day off.
Take the day off.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But working some cardio, like go move around, because that mindset thing. If you're just sitting around and just kind of not doing much, like you get down on yourself. Yeah. Not on purpose. It just kind of happens.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I wanted to ask was, there's people that get like a runner's high, and there's people that actually get a dopamine release, like a heavy one. I typically don't get it until later in the day, and I look back and I go, oh wow, I worked out today. I should feel good about this. Like I did good. Yeah. So when do you usually feel that? Or is it now just kind of a biological clock thing? Like I got to go to the gym. Like what's there that's pulling you in?
I've made it kind of I've been doing it for so long that it is kind of it's not, oh, I have to go to the gym today. It's, I want to go to the gym today.
Yeah.
That's really the big difference. If you feel like you have to drag yourself to the gym, you shouldn't have to change something, but like you should put yourself in a position to where you should feel like you should want to go to the gym. Yeah. Or want to go for a hike with a heavy backpack. Or go mountain biking. Yeah. In somewhere or another, add a bit of fun to it. Yep. Progress is like tracking your progress is also a big part of that. Yep. I don't do it for like any other reasons, just for myself, but I will take progress pics because it's good to see, okay, in the summer, I was this cut for a reason, and I can go back on my phone and look, okay, my shoulders look like they're really popping and I'm kind of veiny here, but then in the winter, or maybe if I slack off for a month, and I'm still taking incremental progress pics, I can see what's changing and also apply it to my lifestyle. Have I changed the food I eat? Yeah. Have I changed? Am I drinking a little bit too much? Which I really don't drink much, but there's a lot of different factors that play into having a good, healthy lifestyle, and that motivation is a big part of it.
Oh, 110%.
Motivation healthy is.
I think really a lot of people get down on themselves when they feel like they're not pushing hard enough to get something or get results. Yeah. And I think honestly, the biggest thing is set up the lowest barrier to entry. It's like having your gym shorts by the bed. So when you get in the morning, you just put on your gym shorts, and then you're in the mindset to go to the gym. Have your tennis shoes right there to go to the gym, or already have that backpack packed and in the truck or in the pickup or in the car or whatever. And when you just get done with work or whatever, throw that backpack on as soon as you get to the pickup. Don't start the pickup and just go walk around the block. Yeah. Just figure out the easiest thing to do while you listen to your favorite podcast. That's something I'm trying to figure out too, is what can I do to stimulate my mind when I'm working out? Because I typically will not want to work out as long if I don't have something I'm kind of listening to. Yeah. But I also know that's a bit of a hindrance too, because then all of a sudden you get to a point where you are in the woods and you need to be listening to your surroundings. Yep. And now you're almost craving listening to someone else's voice so that you're not alone out there. Yeah. So it's a fine balance, but at the same time, it's better to start building healthy habits of some kind of movement, I think, and listening to something. And then eventually you can break away from listening to something and just say, okay, I'm going to meditate while I walk, and do something similar to that. I think we're so hard on, or at least for myself, I just always thought, man, if I wasn't just beating myself up over this, or I wasn't just pushing myself to the absolute edge, it's not me truly working hard. But sometimes you got to just take the easy out, as long as it's a 0.1% better.
I mean, there is like, there's a line, like, you should be on your case. You should be on yourself. Right. Like, hey, I need to go be better. Yeah. But, I'm guilty of this too. Like, you can't really beat yourself up that much. Yeah. Because if you do, you kind of get into a hole. Like, I see a lot of guys at the gym that beat themselves up because they're not as ripped as someone else. Yeah. But to get there, you have to go through the process and the pain and the grind. Yeah. But if you don't have that little edge to, or if you don't have that barrier of, okay, I understand that I'm in this place and I have to work better. And if you have that barrier to not go over it and start beating yourself up and really get down on yourself, that's where the discipline comes in. You have to be disciplined to not go overboard in beating yourself up.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant because so much of my life has just been shame driven. So that's super inspirational to me. Moving on from that. All right, look, we can't all just work out all day long for the rest of our lives. We got to figure out how to make money.
Exactly.
What are you doing to fund your journey here? Because we all know it takes a little bit of money because you have a merch line now, you have some other things going for you, but you just got to be able to survive somehow. So how are you doing it?
Oh gosh, really by not spending a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's really doing the whole music thing and stepping into that world is a big decision.
Yeah,
because everybody starts out. Not. I mean, there are exceptions, but when you make that choice to go into it, full time and chasing it, you have to understand that there will be a period of time where you can't go buy a coffee.
Yeah,
you can't go out. Yeah, you have to live bare bones.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm at now.
Yeah,
and I'm okay, and I'm doing that on purpose to like get used to and be prepared for, a financial crisis or whatever.
Yeah.
But the merch line is doing great. We're selling a lot of merch. That is definitely keeping us afloat. Making money off of streaming. I never thought we would, but we're making enough to stay afloat. And that's really...
And that's just Spotify spins?
Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. I mean, it's all of it combined. When someone purchases a song on iTunes, and I could be incorrect, but I think it's 60 cents. Okay. Like I earned 60 cents off a $1 song. Spotify is 0.004 cents every spin.
Okay.
And that adds up. That snowball is starting to roll. My monthly listeners are going up on Amazon and Spotify, which is really cool to see, and I love that.
Yeah.
And so it was a little tougher a few months ago, and so now we're kind of coming out of the woods a little bit to where we can have a little bit more freedom, but I'm still like hardly spending any money.
Yeah.
Gas and food is what I spend my money on.
And well, in the past, you've had part-time jobs or full-time jobs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I was in real estate. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's right.
I did well and just kind of decided this isn't really what I want to do. Yeah. I am doing it, but it's not what I want to do. And simultaneously at the same time, Ryan Hayes, best friend and manager, he was like, "Hey, you sing, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "Well, you play guitar too, right?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he invited me down to the studio. We cut a song, released it, and then the rest is history.
That's crazy to me. Is just that luck of hanging out. So I know Ryan through Zach. Right. So Zach Goggins and Ryan Hayes, they toured together in a band called Righteous Vendetta.
Righteous Vendetta. Yep.
So we'll give that background a little bit. And I've known Zach since high school. Zach and I, we have a real estate company together. I mean, he started it. He kind of brought me in a bit of as a partner. And now it's me, him, and his dad. And then we brought on another guy, Connor Lorenz. And so we're all kind of working together. But we have all kind of grown up in the same circles as we're all about the same age. You're 24, I'm 25, Zach's 25, Connor's 23. But we all kind of grew up in the same, there's 3 different high schools in this town pretty much. Yeah. And so we all kind of saw each other and were around each other growing up. But when you first met Ryan, you were kind of looking for something to monetize your photography because you were already kind of famous on TikTok, right? Or not famous, but you already had subscribers. You had some things going.
Yeah, I had a pretty decent following on Instagram and TikTok just on my own, just doing my own thing.
But not really making any money from it though.
But I also had no interest in making money.
Right.
I was just doing my thing.
Just doing it because you wanted to.
Just doing it because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then Ryan saw that and he's like, opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Which is how Ryan works. If anybody knows Ryan, man, him and I, it's like we just think monetize. Like figure out how you can make this work.
I'm so thankful for too. Like because had he not invited me to do music and really plant that seed in my head of you can do this for a living.
Yeah.
So I just had no idea.
And you've been playing guitar. When did you pick up the guitar first time?
Early elementary school.
Really?
Or very I was into music at a very, very young age.
Really? Okay.
That's all I wanted to be when I was a kid. I was a rock star.
Okay.
Voted most likely to be a rock star in school. All the yearbooks.
Yeah.
That was me. And I was kind of that nerdy music kid. I was in choir, toured Europe in a choir.
You did?
I did. Which was also incredibly fun.
You did that in high school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did that go down? Tell me a little about that.
interesting. I mean, yeah, I can talk. So
Junior year, sophomore year?
going into senior year,
Okay.
my choir teacher was like, "Hey, you should audition for this choir. They take a trip over to Europe every year."
And you went to West High?
West High. Yep.
Okay.
I was in Meister Singers. Mr. Green, the choir teacher, and so we did this whole audition thing. We had to tape it and send it in. And I got chosen as bass 2 because I kind of have a deeper, lower voice.
Yep.
And got chosen for the choir. We had a few rehearsals in the States. We went over to North Dakota. We all got together. I think it was like 100 choir kids. That made up one choir.
Wow.
And so we went over. Of course, it was kind of like a educational trip and like kind of sightseeing, but also, hey, we're like touring and like we're, a choir playing shows.
Yep.
But we sang in all these incredible cathedrals that have these insane acoustics. I mean, one person could sing and it would sound like 10. So when all 100 of us were singing, the town would come out to the cathedral and watch us sing because it truly was amazing. And there were a few times when, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but I would get goosebumps singing because it was just that raw power of sound was so incredible to me.
Yeah, there's no amps, there's
nothing like it. There's
wow.
And purely like a cappella.
That's cool, man. That's a big part of your story.
Totally.
I've had similar experiences too that I had no idea would shape the rest of my life in high school. That I had some extracurricular things as well, and it really does shape your life. So
that was one of those moments.
That adds more to the country music thing. It was not really it wasn't as forced as some people make it out to be. You kind of really happened into it because you already had a couple talents supporting it.
I mean, like singing and playing guitar around the campfire up at our place.
Yep.
That was pretty normal.
Yeah.
And like my dad did it. My grandfather was a country artist in the 50s. Dean Evans was his stage name.
Say that again. What was the name?
Dean Evans.
Dean Evans. Okay.
He has one song that got transferred over to digital platforms. It's called Lawton Dotton.
Lawton Dotton.
It's a pretty great tune. Not gonna lie.
I'm gonna look that up later.
But yeah, so that was just really ingrained from like the beginning.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's pushing, hey, go to college, do this, do that. And so like music was just, I mean, it was going over my head. I wasn't thinking about it.
If for the most part, and for the last couple of generations, music is something that a lot of people do for fun, and they never can figure out how to make a living at.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of money been thrown at college trying to think, people thinking that they could go through the college route in order to get maybe a record deal or a label deal. Yeah. You see that kind of happening. And you could get me started on what a waste college is.
Yep. Same.
I'll go all day.
I mean, it's
not a waste, but
if you're going for one particular thing, do it. That's great.
Yep.
But if you don't know what you're doing, maybe go get some life experience and figure that out.
And that's why your story's so cool is because you seem to maybe not, I don't know if you can really ever truly master social media, but you luckily had a hobby line up with social media, and your social media leverage was able to kind of get you to the point where, artistically speaking, you could make money at things most people can't because of the power of social media.
Absolutely.
Because most people would go to college to become an artist, to become a photographer, to become all these different things. Yeah. You're self-taught. And because of your social media, you're able to really just decide which product do I want to make for my audience.
Exactly.
That I think they'll be the most receptive to just because they like my social media.
Right. So
that kind of gets us into the next point where, and we talked outside of the podcast a little bit about this on where we should go with this, because it is kind of it's like a hack. I mean, you figured out how to hack the system and bypass some things that normal people would have to go through in order to become country artists.
Totally. Yeah.
So where do you want to start with that?
I mean, I guess I can just explain it. I mean, like the traditional route of becoming a country artist is, you have a story like mine.
Yep.
You played guitar, you sang from a young age, and then you grinded it out for 5, 10, maybe even 15 years in local bars. And those shows are slowly getting bigger. You're telling more people about your music. You release a CD, you have people buy it for $10. And that's what Ryan and Zach did with Righteous Vendetta. They've done thousands of shows.
Yeah.
And they have really grinded. And they've done really well with their band, but where we're at, I had that, but then social media came along. And that has changed the game for a lot of people, like Luke Combs.
Yeah.
Luke Combs had his start really on Vine. He had that Vine blow up, then he went to YouTube. That's how the labels found him, and the rest was history for him.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to do the same thing with my social media, is tell people about the music so we don't have to go out and tour for 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the hack, in that we have this marketing powerhouse that we can do right from where we're at and do our own thing and still go play shows. But when we play a show, take videos and photos of it and then tell all these other people about it on social media. And that just gets the hype and the snowball rolling. And so that's really where the power of social media and the hack comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, because you've already figured out the marketing part. That's really the biggest thing. I mean, you haven't figured out.
It changes so frequently that I have to keep up to date with it.
Yeah.
But I've figured out what works for me.
Yeah. Where are we at on TikTok right now? What do you got for subscriber count or follower count?
I checked it. It's 820 something thousand, which is amazing. I'm working on 1 million. Just need a few more videos.
How many plays? Like, or how many video views? Do you know in total, or?
We could go into some analytics. I know my likes, like my total likes are 13.7 million.
Wow.
Which is a lot. All these social media metrics are just insane to me.
Wow.
I never once thought things could get as big as they are. And I even texted Ryan Hayes the other day, and I was like, man, this has officially gotten bigger than I ever thought it could get or would get.
Really?
And I just really feel that like we're just starting out.
And you are just getting started, man. Yeah. You're just getting started.
I can't really.
I really realized that because I helped you film a video the other day. And I realized that while I was walking in that sale barn watching you play. I was like,
yeah.
Well, and I saw it before a little bit when I watched you sit alone and play. I think it was out in Huntley at a Christmas party or something. Some kind of a party thing, company party thing. But you were out there playing, just getting some practice in and stuff. And I watched you play alone, and I watched you play that Tyler Childers song, Lady May.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
I see how this could work and how this turns into something more than your typical country art, or not. I can't say typical country artist, but there's a lot of artists today that use auto-tune. There's a lot of people that build out a facade of talent.
Yeah.
But I think that when I saw you play, and I was like, okay, I see it. It makes sense. So, yeah, I was pretty blown away when I watched you the other day when we were in the sale barn and getting some content for your TikTok and everything. And I think, and then hearing the choir and, music's kind of already in your blood. It really, I can't say that it's not crazy that this didn't happen sooner, but it is happening all at the right time.
It really is, because I'm maturing as this happens. Because like even when Ryan first, when I first met Ryan, I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm still a kid, but
you've known him for how long? A couple of years?
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. Zach, like 2.5.
Yeah. It's crazy when you hit 21, 22, how much your mind and body start to change in those last couple of years.
Yep.
You just start to level out in a way.
Mm-hmm. I really don't think I felt adulthood until 8 months ago.
Yeah.
It was very recent.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, oh, I understand the world more. I understand, what meaningful relationships really mean and how to really be a good person and that sort of thing, which is really cool and brings a lot of appreciation to the table.
Yeah.
That's what makes me appreciate hunting a lot.
We got to pause right here real quick. I got to swap out a battery on Jonah's camera. 1 second. And we're recording here. We'll do one more sound check real quick.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We had to do a quick intermission. Jonah's camera died. It's the only camera we don't have a battery in. So that's what happened there. But anyways, man, where were we? I got to think back.
Music. Shoot.
Yeah, I can't think of it either. It was only like a 5-minute interview or interchange or whatever. Intermission.
Oh, not even 5 minutes.
Yeah. We're pretty much getting after why this social media thing is locking it in, and maturity.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Maturity.
so we were both hitting, just kind of feeling that adulthood in the last 8 months, and it really hit you there. So, but I think that the aspect of getting your mind to a point where you can, it's really more about deferring, what do they call that? Now I'm having a complete brain fart here. But that, not deferred gratitude, but deferred
appreciation.
Yeah, when you're putting off that reward.
Exactly.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
As you get older in life, you start to realize instant gratification.
There we go.
Is no longer truly going to get you anywhere. It's like you spend the first 20 years just figuring out, your parents tried to tell you when you're younger, you can't eat that candy right now. Your parents try to tell you that, no, we're going to, we need to go to bed first and then we'll, whatever. They're always trying to get you to understand instant gratification is not the way to go. Yeah. Deferred gratification. And I feel like that is something that I finally started to realize how much of a determination of your success in life is when I realized the things I could accomplish if I didn't get something in return.
Right.
And as long as I was able to, the longer I could stall that out, the more I would get in return later on. So, and it applies in a lot of different ways in life, but I wanted to talk to you about that. You're on TikTok, you're famous, you haven't even monetized really in a way.
No.
You guys are working on putting some deals together and everything to make this a little bit more financially possible for you.
Yeah. I mean, I had to start the merch. No, I mean, because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Merch is fun, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
To go sell T-shirts.
Yep.
But it was kind of a, hey, you know what? We kind of have to turn this into a business and monetize a little bit.
Yep.
Because it is a business.
Yep.
And this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I haven't monetized it in the sense of, oh, look at, I mentioned this earlier.
Doing sponsors. Yep.
Sponsors and stuff. I've stayed away from that because I've seen a lot of people dive off the deep end with that.
Yeah.
They do one, they get paid $100, and then that's all they post.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much more value in us as content creators than just working cheaply for larger companies. And it almost seems like they're taking advantage of content creators.
Yeah.
One, it's free content, or, well, I mean, maybe not free. They'll probably give a hat and maybe toss a few bucks.
Yep.
But it's a picture, free marketing, and all of that combined over a long period of time kind of takes advantage of the content creator.
Yep.
In my eyes. And of course I could be very wrong, but that's just my personal experience with it. I learned that really quickly, and I was like, that's just not something I want to be a part of. I would rather keep my social media very pure and honest and keep it to my voice instead of someone else's.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you look at some of the biggest creators out there on YouTube anyways. I mean, there are some brands that are creator friendly. You can look at David Dobrik and whoever gives him all the cars. Geek Seats or something like that? SeatGeek,
yeah.
Sorry.
And
they're like, that's some of their best marketing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were willing to let David do what he wanted that was on brand for him.
Yeah.
But then you look at somebody like the Paul brothers, and they had sponsors, but they didn't really go all in on certain merch sponsors or anything like that to where they had a coexisting relationship like David Dobrik did.
Totally.
They went right into merch. They went right into selling their own stuff, their own brands.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like a mentorship course for a while. They had all kinds of different things that they built the products themselves. And then another one that's not as PC, but the Nelk Boys. They didn't.
Nelk Boys.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Nelk? There's some yahoos from Canada, man. They're wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're still on YouTube in a lot of ways. But they didn't really. They're pretty hard to find sponsorships for because they weren't very PC, I guess. They weren't very politically correct. They were always doing pranks that were a little bit in the gray area.
Yeah.
Some were illegal, things like that. So they recently just put out their Happy Dad seltzers, and they built a whole beverage brand.
Very
and
cool.
Like they have a merch line and everything. And I think that they do phenomenally better than most people that would just get a sponsorship deal. Instead of pairing up with someone like, I don't know, Levi's jeans.
Yeah.
They just made their own. And I think you make, because now you're purchasing or having jeans made at the same or pretty similar prices. obviously that profit margin doesn't have to get split between a corporate ladder. It just goes right to you.
Right.
So I don't think that you're going to be going wrong in that sense in any way. And I think some of the best creators in the world or the most financially successful, they've typically just used it for their own good. I mean, Mr. Beast now has Beast Burger and so much stuff behind him too. So yeah, I think that delayed gratification, the longer you can hold out, the more it's worth in some ways. I mean, you obviously need to be practicing your craft and practicing and learning the system. But the more you keep reinvesting back in your business, both time and money, the more it's going to pay off later on. But who are we to say that when we've only been doing it for a couple of years too?
True. Yeah.
That's kind of a crazy thing to think about, but things move so much faster in the world of internet.
Very fast.
So
Very fast.
Absolutely. Man, I'm trying to go over. We've covered a lot of stuff today. I know that we're kind of getting closer to that 1 hour. We got about 10 minutes left here.
Yeah.
What's it like for you? This is probably a big one for our listeners that are creators. But what do you do to make yourself feel like? Because a big part of my podcast is mindset and everything. You're working out. You're doing all of that. I'm sure a lot of people want to know, what are you doing for like relationships? You got a girl in your life, kind of sworn off women. Maybe you can't say that because you'll lose a lot of followers.
No. Relationships.
What are you doing to stay even keel, man? There's a lot of stuff there.
I just feel so focused on what I'm doing, and I'm so driven. And this sounds dumb and cliche, but I'm so focused and driven on like my path, and my direction, and my goals. Like, girls aren't my biggest concern right now. And I've got buddies that like their biggest concern is girls, and I see how it takes away from what they want to do. And not saying that that's not a bad thing. Like, I have a girl that I've been going steady with. We're not officially dating, but I think she's great. And she's a lot of fun to spend time with and hang out with. And we go on hikes and do adventures, but that doesn't say that I have to take things away from my life or what I'm doing, just go spend time with her. But I do feel that there is kind of you have to find that right person to go do those things with, and have them understand that, hey, I am putting a lot of time and effort and a lot of my emotional effort and well-being into what I'm doing, and this girl understands that. So I feel very fortunate for that. But I do definitely separate relationships and social media. Yeah, because you kind of have to. Yeah, because social media can get dark in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of psychology behind social media, and social media can ruin relationships. I've seen it, and it's just kind of the unfortunate realization with social media, because my fan base is subsequently 85% women, and we can look at the stats. And of course, I've had little flings with girls that don't take that well. They do not like the attention. And I understand it, but there's nothing I can do about it, because I have to cater to my audience now, because that's who I'm doing, and that's who I'm living for, essentially. Now I'm making music for an audience, and I would not trade my current audience for anything else, because they're amazing. There's just some trade-offs that you kind of have to make.
Yeah. So. Well, and I another example, this is what I do all the time, is I just analyze other creators and their stories and what they did to try to make things work. And there's this creator called Eric, and his full name is Eric, but he was one of the first, I don't know if he's one of the first creators, but he was definitely made a pretty big splash. He went from 0 subscribers to 1 million in 1 year. And he hit up all of the big ones. I mean, he was Mr. Beast, David Dobrik, Ryan Trahan. I think his name's Trahan. I can't remember his last name, but just a lot of people he was able to collab with inside of a year on his way to 1 million subscribers. And he had a girlfriend at the beginning of that year. He was in a similar situation, really, to the way I felt with my videography company. He had a videography company. He had a girlfriend, and he just realized one day, he's like, I'm not doing at all what I want to be doing. I want to create content. I want to do something instead of creating content for other people and through weddings and things like that. I've got to do something different. Yeah. And he had to have that conversation with his significant other and say, before I get married, if you want me to be a better person for this, or a person that's true to themselves, I'm going to have to take some time and go and do this. Yep. And really it's not fair for me to marry you before I figure out who I am
Yeah.
and figure out what I want to do. And I think that is, I'm married. I got married at 22, pretty young age. And that's something that my wife and I struggle with now is I still don't know exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I'm still working on it. And I think that if I was ever to change one thing, I would have told her, let's hold off so that I'm not pouring so much time into just figuring out who I am.
Yeah.
Because then you just can't focus on other people. If you still don't know who you are, it is a hard thing to go through and make someone else stick with you through that. So I think that's good for you, man. That delayed gratification again is just
delayed gratification.
That comes in that place. I mean, especially in your situation, to have the discipline because of the amount of women that you have in your following and everything like that, and they're not bad looking gals either. Like I can imagine the temptation in a lot of that.
There's a lot of, and like, of course, I'm sure it looks like there's having a large social media like that. There's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
And assumptions having a large female following that, like, I'm out there just looking for hookups.
Yep.
Just
slaying it,
which I'm just not that type of person. I'm very different than how people perceive in that sense, that, like, on a Friday night, I'm usually inside the house writing a song, or I'm out in big timber, out in the woods doing my thing.
Yeah.
But that's just because I'm so focused on this path that those are the sacrifices I'm willing to make.
Yeah. Well, I think it's honorable, man. I think it is. And I think a lot of your followers are going to feel the same way and appreciate that.
I hope so.
I mean, I think that is something that goes to speak more to your character and what you're trying to do. And when they only know you through Instagram, I think that's a good, or through TikTok, I think it's a good place to definitely get to know at least who you are as a person overall. And that being said, it makes your success rate go through the roof.
That's
we
true.
talked a little bit off the podcast, man. Relationships are a lot to do with how well you do in life, and making sure that when you decide to make that leap, it's a big deal, and you want to make sure you're doing it right, because it's also involving someone else's life too. So,
absolutely.
But man, anyways, is there anything else that you wanna? I think this is fantastic.
This has been so much fun.
This has been great. Like you are my first interview for this podcast. I've done other interviews in the past, but it's amazing to start here.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to have some of my other guys on and do the follow-up. This is going to be a hard one to beat, bro. It's going to be a hard one to beat.
Well, I think the hard one to beat is going to be our hunting podcast.
Dude.
Because we're going to have to come back.
So we're going to do a couple of these.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've been
yes.
holding back on bringing up hunting constantly.
Yeah, we could go all day on that.
All day.
And it would be insane to get that done. And man, yeah. I'm thinking about all the cool things, dude.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to sit down with Ranella or some other guys like that. You know, that's impressive. But you can't be in Montana and enjoy the lifestyle here without discussing hunting, and that's such a huge part of your background.
I don't even care to kill things that much.
Yeah.
My passion in that sense is being outside in the woods, getting to know the animals, seeing how they act, and finding all the weird stuff that you find out there. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah, taking some time and spending it in the woods. Everybody should go out and do it. Do it safely.
Yeah. Yes.
But we fully endorse that.
Yeah.
Get out there and do it. So for a while there, I thought, a lot of people were going to start stepping off of that hobby. Just the way that my parents were quite a bit older than other people's parents. And I felt like I was one of the only ones that really went out and hunted growing up as a kid. But I don't know. It seems like it's kind of making a comeback. So
I don't want to say COVID was good, but I think COVID did a great number of things for the hunting industry.
Yeah.
Because they published a study that, hunting numbers and license sales were exponentially going down. Yeah. And then in 2020, when COVID hit,
it popped back
skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Which is great. But of course, we can get into conservation and all the talk later. But
yeah. No, I know. This year it was crazy. I was on a couple forums and everyone's complaining about the amount of the concentration of hunters, and
Don't even get me started.
it's good and bad, but we have to manage it well.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the thing. And there's so much about conservation and managing things well, and realizing that, we are a predator too.
Mhm.
We're just the smartest one.
Yes.
We're
Yes,
just
we
the
are.
apex.
Yes.
So as long as we count ourselves into that, and I think we can manage it well and do well. Man, this podcast has been fantastic.
Absolutely.
I
Thank
love
you.
the optimism. Yeah, thank you for coming on. I look forward to, going over this, putting it together, getting it put out there. Where can people find you on your socials?
It's
if they haven't found
just
you
my
already?
name, Jonah_Prill. Same thing on TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Same
Sounds
thing
good.
on Spotify and everything like that. It's just Jonah Prill for the music.
Jonah Prill. And you've said also that at one point you are interested in starting a podcast too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't really know how to do that.
Yeah.
I think you'll help me with
Well, we'll see. We can. Yeah, I'll see what I can do to help you out. I'm learning as well, man. So thanks a bunch for coming on.
Of course.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. This is our podcast. I always give you the date and time. Today is 6:00, and it's the 20th of December. We're just 4 or 5 days away from Christmas, and I'm sure we're probably going to go a little bit radio silent until the new year. But thanks for tuning in. It's been fantastic talking with Jonah Prill again, and look forward to talking to you guys the next one. If you haven't heard a good business idea today, maybe you'll find a better one tomorrow when you tune back in, or whenever I post another one. So.
Let's go.
That was awesome, dude. That was fantastic. All right.